I love movies with a plot twist, where the bad guy ends up being the good guy. You know, like a Terminator 2, where T-800 is assumed to be the bad guy, hunting down John Connor and his mother Sarah. But T-800 ends up protecting them as a team, and they defeat T-1000 and seemingly defeat Skynet. Sorry if I spoiled that, but the movie's 34 years old, and I bet that makes some of you feel old. Jesus also loved telling parables with a plot twist. One of the most poignant is in Luke chapter 18. It says, 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. So to the Jewish people listening to this story, they assume off the bat that the Pharisee is the good guy because they were the religious leaders. And the tax collector is the bad guy. See, tax collectors were fellow Jewish people who the Romans contracted to collect taxes from their own people. And the only way for tax collectors to make money was to tax beyond what the Roman government required. The tax collectors were basically T-1000s. The next verse says, the Pharisee, standing by himself, prayed thus, God, I thank you that I am not like the other men, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week. I give tithes of all that I get. So the Pharisee uses the word I 5 times. His prayer is a self-righteous attack on someone he looked down on. But then we read, but the tax collector, standing far off, would not even lift up his eyes to heaven, but beat his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. A tax collector sees his error. He sees his sinfulness as he humbles himself in front of God. And from his change of heart, he asks God for mercy and forgiveness. At this point, the crowd listening are probably standing with their jaws dropped, especially the Pharisees who just got called out. And Jesus ends with this, I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, but the one who humbles himself will be exalted. The Pharisee thought he was righteous and justified, but his heart was all wrong. The tax collector humbled his heart and depended on God for righteousness, and God declared him justified. James 4:6 says, but he gives more grace. Therefore, it says, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. When we make our own rules, when we make our own truth, instead of humbling ourselves to God's plan, we're like the Pharisee. We're proud and selfish. When we humble ourselves before God and follow him, we experience his grace. I think the most important part here is that God can redeem the lowest, most hated, most lost. He just wants your heart. I can't believe 1991 was 34 years ago.